Of course, those who sell drugs, injections at a chemist or a patent medicine place, you get, except if the person saying it is a nurse. So if it's a nurse and is running a clinic by the side, a nurse can give injections, community health, extension workers, and all of that. So if they have a clinic beside it, yes, that could be given if appropriate diagnosis is made. So, but what we have many of the times is people come and boom, next they start giving injection, and you also see people who are just the other day selling granules. Next thing they are putting on a uniform in a place they sell drugs. Next thing they are giving injection. Where did they learn it?
Okay, now for a situation where their carelessness or their negligence now leads to a problem to someone who wasn't even without any form of disability in the first place, what should be the penalty as a health practitioner? Are they codes? I mean, they are medical codes, but what's the penalty for such
There are
misbehavior?
the different penalties for such. So the action for some take is to make for if he's in a hospital and you feel it's a case of negligence in the hospital, if you don't get justice, reports to medical and dental council, nursing and midwifery council, as the case may be, depending on who you feel was carried out such negligence, then you can have law enforcement agents, get a lawyer and take actions. Why a lot of things go without punishment is because people don't enforce their rights. So they always say, let's leave it to God. The thing is, in developed countries where we envy, is if they are much, so much more knowledgeable. But there's what is called defensive practice. They handle every case as if they are going to be sued for negligence. So they take every precaution because the population is enlightened, and if you make any mistake you could lose your license and you could face other consequences. So I think we need to get to that point where persons need to take actions, because if there's no complaint there's not going to be consequence. The person who made the mistake is not going to punish oneself. You must somebody must bring up the case that there is this case of mismanagement, and of course cases that have been taken up, there have been some consequences. If you go to medical and dental council, it has the status of the high court. But if you don't take your matter there, they are not just going to come hear something on the street or read it on social media and begin to take it
So
up.
that others can actually take a cue from it and they will actually be like a scapegoat. Okay, so we are gradually running out of time, but let's talk about the role of CSOs in all of this, that civil society organizations, what are their roles in supporting this prevention and care efforts?
Yes, civil society organizations, and indeed every citizen, every individual, and I believe that's why this program is on air, for us to learn these things and teach ourselves appropriate things, is to continue to educate, just as Staff Africa is doing, just as a number of other civil society organizations are doing, even at the community level. And I would also want to add that every community should have a health committee as required by National Health Act 2014 and the World Health Systems Policy, as the last amendment was in 2018 by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. So why I say this is, that CSOs, you don't have them everywhere, but every community have a governance structure. And at every level or every village, there should be a health committee, and those health committees will help to bring people to educate their people, because primary healthcare goes beyond just the building where people go for treatment. So primary healthcare is also about health education and promotion, community sensitization on topical issues. So some of these things we are learning on radio, at the community level, they break it down. We are speaking English here. They break it down, get a health worker that is knowledgeable, that will use their language and dialect. So some of the issues we mentioned might be happening in different communities in different ways. So people will now localize it, know the practices in their community that is leading people into acquired disabilities, and begin to educate people so that those practices will come to an end. So if you have a case of people who are giving injections when they are not supposed to and also causing some complications, or even health workers going beyond boundaries, to mismanage people, leading to certain complications. The community itself, through the health committee, can even take it up, assuming the individuals involved are not taking it up. To be like, ask questions, this must stop because we have 1, 2, 3 cases of similar occurrences in the same health facility. They should be able to ask questions, in addition to partnering with civil societies where they are present.
All right. 0915 0910482 705 149 33224 0915 0910482 or 0705 149 3324. Those are the numbers to call to participate. We are talking about congenital and acquired disability in Nigeria. Now, Dr. Laz, what are key challenges faced in providing care for individuals with disabilities in Nigeria? One, and are there any specific areas where improvements are needed?
Yes, there are a lot of challenges and there are also many areas where improvements is needed. Sometimes you begin to ask what's the value of human life in Nigeria and what's the value the country places on its citizens. We've not quite, as a country, as a state, to persons with disabilities. We must acknowledge that the Disability Act, that was signed recently after so much struggle and all of that, is progress. There shouldn't actually be such struggle to have that in place. So now that it's in place, states should domesticate it and also begin to implement it. And when we talk about persons with disabilities, there is diversity even within that population. The needs of people with uh, sight impairment or who cannot see, the blind, is different from the needs with those with hearing impairment, which is also different from those who are on themselves without support. You pedestrian bridges are done. A place for persons talking about disability. Old may also come with its own disability. So people who are working normally could get older and get old enough that they can't walk certain distance without aid. And you see them also being with disability. So in terms of construction of public utilities, there must be those provisions, bearing in mind that who have hearing impairment or are blind may also need to do it. I'm happy that we're having more sign language interpreters, on TV, in public communication, but we need more. Imagine persons with disability who are disproportionately affected by gender-based violence. When they take the matter to police, nobody to interpret. Assuming that you have persons with hearing impairment and they go there to report, there's nobody to even interpret. You go to health facilities, do you have people to also interpret for in case of health emergencies or even normal illness? Persons with disability might go there to present. Do you have interpreters? At different service delivery points, do you have for those who can't see? Do you have writings for those of them who are educated enough to be able to see? So we must be very intentional because this is critical numbers in our society, and any of us, anybody, can actually get into that population at any time.
Yes, this is definitely vital. That's why this program is here. So, are there any success stories or inspiring examples of individuals with disabilities who have overcome challenges and achieved like a significant milestone thanks to quality healthcare?
Yes, there is a lot of that. Access to quality health care, for persons with disabilities. And let me also mention one that amazes me. Jay is the founder of I know when he has it's a bit, so he's been championing of persons living with living the homeless condition is very.
Yeah.
So when he saw his spot, went to biopsy and has become a cure. So he detects and can be that one. And persons Nigeria is doing training for them on seeking access to quality health care and especially issues related to sexual and gender, how they could protect themselves and also how support and care could be provided to those who fall victims.
Okay, conclusion of the network service of Nigeria. We've had the pleasure of seeing Dr. Lazude Eze, the convener of hospital work. Now, so far, he's been
Make our campaign.
I didn't get that correctly. So make our hospital campaign the convener, Dr. Lazude Eze. So far, we've been talking about people of congenital and acquired disability in Nigeria, including some prevention and, of course, care. We're streaming on Facebook. Kindly join us live and send in your comments. And then hopefully, maybe we'll be able to take one call before we leave. But as usual, we like to give you some messages about the Disability Act. Now, let's see what the Disability Act say about rights to first consideration in queues and in emergencies. So, in all situations of risk, including situations of violence, emergencies, and occurrences of natural disasters, the government shall take all necessary steps to ensure the safety and protection of persons with disabilities, taking cognizance of their peculiar vulnerability. In queues, a person with disability shall be given first consideration as much as possible should be attended to outside the queue. So the Act indicates that any person in breach of this section shall be liable on conviction to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 50,000 naira or both. Yeah, so thank you so much for staying tuned. Now, the star of the week is Dr. Christiana Akinrimade. To stay with us.
Becoming visually impaired her real estate business was not an interest in this church fixed aside. She was society, thinking all hope was lost. 13 years later, she is a thriving entrepreneur and is helping persons with disabilities find a purpose in life. Her organization, Divine Place Care and Creativity, is an innovative craftwork initiative that produces footwear, bags, and belts. She also recycles waste from motor tires to center tables and other accessories using uncommon unique materials including cord rope, nylon rope, fabrics, and textile. To help persons with disabilities live a meaningful life, Akirimade trains them on different entrepreneurial skills, such as hand weaving of footwear, bags, and other craft work, to empower them and reduce their dependency on others. So far, Akirimade has trained more than 500 persons with disabilities. She is also an instructor at the Lagos State Skills Acquisition Center in Mushin and the co-founder of the African Entrepreneurs with Disabilities Network, a foundation promoting inclusiveness, entrepreneurship, and collaboration among Africans with disabilities. She has also received numerous awards and recognitions such as the Award for Excellence in Entrepreneurship Development from the Lagos State Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment. What is your excuse for giving up? Be inspired. Say no to defeat in the world. I am Jemima Paul.
Definitely right. Saying no to defeat. Yes, disability is not a curse, all right? So, behind that disability, you are first a human being, and of course, that's where people should see you from and not your disability. My name is still Jennifer Obo on the program Disability Inclusion Network Service of Radio Nigeria. We still have a little bit of time to ask our guest the final question for today. He's been become convener of Make Our Hospital Work Camp, Dr. Laz Ude Eze. So, Doctor, can you just give us a message, especially to the listener, regarding the importance of addressing, you know, the prevalence of congenital heart disability in Nigeria? I mean, what role can a person without any play in supporting this cause?
Thank you very much. Disability better than those who live with it. So I strongly encourage anyone living with any form of disability to become an advocate. Don't get into self-pity. So don't see yourself as less than, because except for those who were born with it, many persons acquire it, and not because of anything they did so wrong, even though some things are highly preventable. So educate people and lend your voice to things happen. And even for those who, if you are thinking of getting old, if you want to get old, you are potentially someone that could live with disability at some point, because when you get old, the cells are weaker and all of that. And there are some things you used to do before that you'll not be able to do again. So let's all be advocates, because I know everybody's on their prayer to get older, So let's all of us, as potential persons with disability, build a society that will be very inclusive and educate people, respect those with disability, and intentionally get them involved in everything we are doing, whether it's in governance, whether it's at the community level, and everything we do, because they have a lot to offer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Well said. We sincerely appreciate your time with us on the program Disability Inclusion today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and that's it today on the program Disability Inclusion, which came to you live from the network service of Radio Nigeria. We also want to appreciate all of our callers who called in as usual. Chief Fidel, Dr. Obunaya DK, and Evangelist Daniel, though I couldn't really understand, the position you were standing regarding the topic of discussion, but I still appreciate you all the same. So for more information on the activities of the Albino Foundation, visit our website at for more information on the activities of TAF Africa, visit our website at www.tafafrica.co. You can also send a message to 0703 110 3773 or 0701 977 335. So I'm also waving at our online viewers. Sincerely appreciate you for what, and also we look forward to an anticipated comment. Now, the engineers on duty were Christy Hankali and Jonadab Anyanwu. Thank you so much. The studio manager for tonight has been Usman Mohammed. This program is brought to you by TAF Africa and funded by the European Union through its support to democratic governance in the program. Until next time, my name is Jenny Ogo. The next program on our line on top of the hour is bye for now. Thank you, sir.